Hey
Hey,
there.
can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. How you doing?
Great. Right on time like a normal CEO. You're not the
Yeah.
CEO, but right on time there. How's your day going?
Great. Yeah, that's always been like a thing of mine ever since when I was young. I went into the army, and that you get drilled into you if you're on time, you're late. So the moment it hits the top of the hour, I'm always there.
You're on it.
Yeah,
I went
yeah.
there. I went there.
No, that's okay.
I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I've been
Yeah.
aware of your brand for years because, as an avid podcast listener, there's certain brands you're bound to hear. You're going to hear about Alpha Brain 25 times, and eventually,
Yep.
that 26th time, you're going to check it out. So, I've had the pleasure of trying Onnit products. I've the pleasure of learning about what you do. But do I have it correct that you got appointed to CEO like 4 days before COVID-19 hit?
Yeah, yeah, for like 4 days before the lockdown hit. And the funniest story, I just got to share this real quick. It happened, and on Instagram, people started accusing Aubrey, the founder, of being part of the Illuminati, like he knew that this was coming. And there was this comment chain that said, the first comment was, "Feel bad for the new guy," and the next comment is, "Yeah, he dead." And I just thought it was the greatest thing in the world. But you can't. You get definitely got tested right off the bat because there was a lot of decisions to be made very quickly because you just didn't know what was happening with supply chain, with
Yeah.
the virus. You didn't know what was happening with employees, your contract manufacturers. It was crazy.
It reminded me of there was a bunch of albums that were set to come out on September 11th, 2001. And for example, Jamiroquai was one of those. And I don't think Jamiroquai was the best post 9/11 music out there. So unfortunately, that album got killed. A lot of albums got killed in that time period. A lot of movies did, a lot of stuff did. But
Oh, wow.
fortunately, as a lifestyle brand that makes good things happen for people, people still, even if they were locked up at home, still had to take their great products. So uh, congratulations on not shutting down, keeping to push the ball forward, and all that. Have there been any new developments in the last month or two? I haven't checked the social media in the last month or two, so please catch me up if so.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and just with COVID, it did benefit us in the tailwinds in some ways because more people were shopping online, more
Yeah.
people were thinking about their health, more people were doing at home fitness, and so but we made sure never to use the word COVID or try and take advantage of this awful time in human history in any way. But we did have a lot of products that I think translated well. And so we were coming off of year over year increases in revenue. The company's been doing great over the last couple of years, and then this past month we were actually purchased by Unilever, which was probably the biggest moment outside the founding of the company and a real legitimizer because this is one of the biggest, one of the best consumer packaged good companies in the world. They align with our values. It really was a dream come true.
Yeah, with Unilever, as somebody who is raised with coupons, my dad taught me this trick that no longer works, where if the first 5 digits on the coupon are the same, like it's the same parent company they worked. So as a kid, I'm seeing like the
Oh.
5 digits of Unilever and like, they make that too? And that? And that? Okay. You can get a lot with those coupons, or at least you could in the past. But
Yeah, you get surprised. A lot of people in the United States haven't heard of Unilever, but they have heard of Q-tips and Vaseline and Ben and Jerry's and Klondike and Dove and
Ragu.
yeah. There's probably 20 things in everybody's house right now from Unilever.
Exactly. But bring it back to you and the company.
Yep.
One thing that's very unique is that people from all backgrounds and interests like you guys, it's not every day that you find the UFC community and the comedy community and the yoga community all like this one brand. How much of that is organic versus actually reaching out through podcasting and advertising to these different sects of the world?
It's almost entirely organic, and I think the reason is when Aubrey founded the company, he he wanted to try to pair something that at the time was pretty counterintuitive, and that's give some sort of mental, emotional, spiritual awareness while being completely 100% non-dogmatic in our thinking, right? And so when you look at whether there's products for people that are vegan or that are a full carnivore diet, there's people that are bodybuilders or people that are CrossFitters or people just trying to walk a little bit. It's really it's not about taking over anybody's life in any one area. It's trying to plug in your fitness, your nutrition, your supplementation, then your mental and emotional wellness. And I think that's why it's translated pretty well. It's one of the reasons I was attracted to the brand.
Yeah, I know that you yourself have a yoga background with Black Swan Yoga. Did that ever come up in the adjacent Joe Rogan Onnit world? DDP for a while was his yoga go-to. Did you ever talk, exactly, diamond cutter right there. Did you ever talk about Black Swan at all, DDP?
When I got to actually the acquisition of Black Swan was the very first thing that I did when I came to Onnit. It was the first thing that was put in my lap. And when that happened, DDP and his education, actually, that was where the split happened. Not everything really amicable, but we were really aligned with him prior to that because he did some unconventional tactics in his yoga. I think he really brought the yoga community to a whole generation of people that it wasn't necessarily accessible.
Yeah, sure.
It's incredible. Mm-hmm.
Well, you going back in the history, before Onnit, before yoga, you were a hospitality guy. You worked yourself up to a high level in hotels and all that, which I know Dana White, he was a successful bellman in the Boston area before UFC. Do you kind of find that that's what set you on this path to being a CEO? Because my interpretation of being a CEO is you have to be able to talk to people, present yourself, and handle any kind of situation, much like you would in managing hotels.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I think that's absolutely true. I've always equated hotels to like running a small city, except your constituents change every night. But you have like a town of like 500 people living in your house every night. Yeah. And so that with just the law of big numbers, it means that at any given moment, somebody's happy, mad, hurt, sad, angry, you're always just dealing with things, and you don't, and when somebody walks up to the front desk of a hotel, you don't get to just hide. Like, you got to figure this thing out. The buck always has to stop with you. And so even on the come up, when you're young, you're dealing with problems that are generally way above your weight class, and it does force you to flex those mental muscles. And the other nice thing about hospitality is somebody with maybe not a traditional education has the ability to move up quickly because there's so many hotels. The talent is pretty dilutive. And if you just work your ass off and really try hard, you just like I did. Like I came out of the Army and went into hotels. I never set foot in college. And here I am now, a CEO, right? And that's because of a very non-traditional path that I wouldn't recommend to most people, but it worked for me.
Any idea what it was exactly that Aubrey saw in you that went, this is the guy to lead the charge? Because I know you had, 6 years or so before you got promoted like that.
Yep. Yeah. Initially, when the company was smaller, I was a big fan of the company and just formed a friendship through social with Aubrey when he decided to start unloading some of the stuff that he didn't want to handle anymore, the day-to-day making the trains run on time type stuff. Yeah. I was more than willing to pick it up and actually took a huge pay cut to come down to Onnit. But I was so sure that Onnit was onto something, and I wanted to be a part of it. And it meant something more than just running a hotel. And so I made the leap. And then over the 6 years, anytime that Aubrey did not want to handle something, I was right there and gobble things up. And that's like the grind that will get you there, is because the number one advice I ever give anybody for if they want to move up, number one thing is make your boss's job easier.
Wow. Were you intended to be a career hospitality management person? Was that the game plan, or was there not a game plan?
For sure. No, I grew up in hotels. My mom managed hotels. So I literally grew up inside hotels. I was cleaning rooms for her before I was legally able to, I guess. And so it was in my blood. My dream job was to be the general manager in the nicest hotel in my hometown, which is Madison, Wisconsin. I was able to get there. And when I got there, I really thought that was it. I was going to be there for 20 years. The previous general manager had been there for 12 years. You know, I was ready to make that the spot. And then I went through, like a lot of us do, you go through that life transformation where you just had enough of this shit. At some point you decide, I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to exercise. And I went through that, and that's how I found Onnit. And then it just connected with me so much that I was like, that meant something to me. And I realized that internally there was something yearning for more, and I took a chance on it and worked out.
This isn't a question that's seeking trade secrets. It's actual curiosity. What are the bigger pockets of the states where the Onnit customers are? Is it the metros, or is it just everywhere and there's no rhyme or reason?
No, that's actually a good question. And yeah, you see it. Obviously, you see increases with population density, but number of purchases per person is also higher the denser the population. And so you'll see our biggest customer bases being in places like LA, Chicago, New York City actually lags behind LA and California in general. California is still our biggest state by a lot after Texas, obviously.
I'm surprised to hear that it wasn't like Miami is number one, because that seems more of a fit city than most of the big cities. Yep. They have to be beach ready 12 months of the year compared
that's
to
true. Yeah, I think that California also had we had connection with Rogan. Obviously, he was one of the founders, and that connection with Rogan certainly helped us in those early years. And in fact, most of the people in the first 5 years of the company heard about us through Rogan. I would say it would probably be more than 50% of people.
Yeah, I am one of them. He was talking about the Alpha Brain. I think DDP was talking about the Alpha Brain early on as well. And I'm sure it's a long list of people who are way on board with it. Do you find that that's the product that hooked most people or made most people aware?
Yeah, and I'd include myself in that, because when I first heard it, 2010 isn't that long ago, but it might as well be a different universe ago in a lot of ways, right? And one of the ways is I had never heard anybody talking about the brain from a performance baseline up. You hear a lot of people talking about ADHD, CTE, PTSD, Alzheimer's. You hear a lot of the deficiencies with the brain, but Onnit was the first company that talked about increasing performance of the brain. That really attracted me to it. And the second thing is, most supplements that you would take at the time, you just take, you hope they work, you pee yellow, you think that's maybe working, you're not really sure. But when you take Alpha Brain, you feel it. And it was the first time that I took a non-pharmaceutical and had an effect that I could feel. And when that happened, I was hooked. And now, obviously I'm the CEO, so I would take Alpha Brain anyways every day, but I take it every day. It's like my coffee. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people.
That's where I was leading next. I was curious if you had a morning cocktail of Onnit related products that you go, oh, every day it's this, this, and this. Is there anything besides Alpha Brain that is on the daily register?
Yeah, that's the nice thing about Onnit too, is if you ask everybody that works there or anybody that's a customer, their mix is different. And for mine, I keep it pretty simple. It's Alpha Brain every morning, spirulina, chlorella, and krill oil. Those will be the three that I just will never miss. And then I pepper everything else in as needed. The one thing when I'm going to jog, though, the Shroom Tech Sport is a non-stimulant based energy supplement, and there's not many of those on the market. And I really, for the most part, don't like traditional stimulants and try and stay away from them. And so that's the one that I take if I'm actually going to get the heart rate up.
I didn't hear the buzzword of CBD said. Does that factor into anything for you?
Yeah, we and I still personally take CBD. We had a product called Total Hemp, but it was the one thing that we discontinued as part of the transition with Unilever.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to pry further into that. We
No,
can.
no, it's fine. It's just it's just part of their or it's not part of their portfolio. And
Yeah.
for us, it wasn't. God, it wasn't even a top 20 product, right? Like, so it wasn't in the thing. The thing about CBD is the bubble really burst on that. You know, it wasn't that long ago. Like Coca-Cola is talking about putting it in the soda. We're going to put it in the Ritz Bits crackers. It's going to be everywhere. And then people forgot like one thing. It doesn't make you high. It's just like any other supplement. You take it and you have to believe and understand the science that it's working.
Yeah.
So the market wasn't as ambitious as people thought it was. Also, CBD is an expensive product. It's not easy extraction. So I think the people that take it and believe in it like I do, I think it's great to lower anxiety. For me, it helps with my sleep, but it's just not a product that we sell anymore.
It's great for me. It's part of my daily thing. I luckily get to write about it and try the best of the best. But I found at a certain point that CBD became the equivalent of a celebrity-owned tequila, where everyone was launching one and you didn't know what was good and what wasn't good. But then once you learn that tequila has serial numbers on it that identify which distillery it comes from, then you know, oh, this is identical to this, different bottle. I wasn't sure if that kind of thing happened in the CBD market yet.
That, you know, I didn't know that about tequila. So you taught me something new. That and the coupon. So I got to pay more attention to the numbers. But yeah, there are ways to tell. But as far as being able to tell quality, it's still such a wild west that it's really hard. You know, like a lot of people went to Charlotte's Web because, you know, that was a public company. They had a lot of trials done on their product. That's the one that I took prior to Onnit's. And so I think that's where you have to go, is you have to go with the name you trust. But I agree with you. There were so many, like everyone, you just see like Snoop Dogg holding up 2 marijuana leaves and you'd be like, all right, well, I'll take the Snoop Dogg one. There was really no rhyme or reason behind it.
Much respect and honor to Snoop Dogg, but he also has a
rosé
on the market and a gin on the market. So at a certain point, I'm just lost with like, is it good or is it private label? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well,
if Snoop's taking it, it's likely good, but you know.
Exactly. Well, I got to
go with what you trust.
2 more questions for you, and then you're a free man and you can move among your Monday responsibilities. And that first one is a stupid one, but curiosity. Based on what your name is, have you ever gotten mail for Jason Havey?
It's so funny you bring this up, because this is the biggest joke around the office is I get Jason Havey and Jason Harvey, right? Jason Havey, Wonder Years. But a lot of people just want to add an R to my name no matter what. So my nickname with my friends, some people at work, is Harvey, because I don't think most people have heard the name Havey before. And it's amazing. I get as much mail for Harvey as I do for Havey.
Now I know. So if any Wonder Years residual checks come,
Yep. Well, and I can't tell you how many contracts, just random ones, you know, with stores or whatever, come through as Jason Havey. I'm signing those anyway, because if they ever come back, I'll be like, I don't know who Jason Havey is.
We're not state of California that's permissible, maybe. Who knows? And my last question for you, and this does not constitute an endorsement from Onnit or Unilever, but what TV show should we be watching if we need a new show to start? Do you have any recommendations there?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Let's see. I might give you 2 quick ones.
Please.
I'll give you, yeah. So obviously and I'm going back a little bit, but I think it's worth it, because one of my things is now, since you can binge watch, I wait until entire series are over and then just go for the whole thing. And I really like doing that. So I'm gonna go back, because I think most people probably talk about shows of today. But if, number one, if you have not spent the time watching Breaking Bad. It's one of the best shows that's ever existed. But I'm going to give you one out of left field. Stargate SG-1. If you're into sci-fi and you go back, I don't know how it holds up so well, but there's like 10 seasons of it, so you can go through a lot. But that's now one of my favorite shows, and I didn't start watching until last year.
Wow. Okay. Great picks
Yeah.
from a.
I figure nobody said that one before.
I mean, usually, I'm going to say 20% of people throw a Schitt's Creek in there. Then you get the Queen's Gambit, which I will never ever watch, ever watch. It's not what I do. But every now and then you get a thoughtful person who says a sci-fi series that makes me go, maybe I'll try this sci-fi show. So the fact that you said it, maybe.
Yeah. You know why what I liked about it is that they try to tie all the myths and legends that we've heard and try to weave them into some broader truth. And I think it's just well thought out.
Cool. Well, I've got some homework to do as always, Jason. So thank you so much for your time. Just keep up all the greatness. Looking forward to whatever is coming next from you and team.
Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Paltrocast.